The eviction notice trembled in my mother's hands as she stood in the doorway of the house I'd grown up in. The same doorway where, 20 years ago, she'd told me my college fund was gone. "Sophia, what is this?" Her voice cracked, age showing in ways it hadn't back then. "This is our home." "You can't." "Actually, I can." I kept my voice steady, professional. "You haven't paid property taxes in 5 years. The city seized it. I bought it at auction last month." My father appeared behind her, still in his golf clothes. Even facing eviction, he'd spent the morning at the country club. "This is a mistake. We own this house outright. Have for 15 years. Owning a house doesn't exempt you from property taxes, Dad." I handed him the documentation. "Page 3 shows your tax delinquency. Page 7 shows the foreclosure notice you ignored. Page 12 shows my winning bid at the city auction." He flipped through the papers, his face cycling through confusion, anger, and finally fear. "But nobody told us. The city sent 17 notices. They're all documented. Certified mail that you signed for." My mother sank onto the porch swing, the same one where she'd pushed me as a child, making up stories about my bright future. Before she gave that future to someone else. "Family helps family," she whispered, echoing the words that had destroyed my carefully planned life 2 decades ago. I almost laughed. Yes, family helps family. Like when cousin Marcus needed money for medical school, and you gave him my college fund. All $87,000 of it. He was family. Dad protested, the same argument from 20 years ago. His parents had nothing. We had to help. I was family too. Your daughter. Remember? The memory of that day was still crystal clear. I'd been 18, acceptance letter from Northwestern in hand, ready to study biomedical engineering. They'd sat me down in the living room, the room I could see through the doorway behind them, and explained that Marcus needed the money more. "You're smart," they'd said. "You'll figure it out. Marcus only has this one chance." So Marcus went to medical school debt-free while I worked 3 jobs to get through community college, then state school. 60-hour weeks between classes. Sleeping in my car between shifts. Eating ramen for months, developing health issues from malnutrition that still affected me today. "You succeeded anyway," my mother said, as if reading my thoughts. "Look at you. Clearly you're doing well if you can buy houses. I succeeded despite you, not because of you. Do you know what working 3 jobs while studying engineering does to a person?" I collapsed during finals junior year. Hospitalized for exhaustion. Nearly died. "You never told us." "When? During the holidays you stopped inviting me to because I couldn't afford proper gifts? Or maybe during the family reunions where everyone celebrated Dr. Marcus while you introduced me as Sophia, she's working?" My father's jaw tightened. "Marcus paid us back. Every penny. Did he? Or did he pay you back the original amount without 20 years of interest? Without accounting for what that money could have become? And more importantly, did you offer any of it to me?" Their silence was answer enough. 30 days, I said, turning to leave. "You have 30 days to vacate." "Sophia, please." My mother's voice broke. "Where will we go? We're 70 years old." I paused at the porch steps. The same steps where I'd sat with a suitcase 20 years ago, waiting for a Greyhound bus to take me to a future I had to build from scratch. Maybe Marcus can help. Family helps family, right? But I knew Marcus wouldn't help. The successful doctor lived in a mansion 40 minutes away and hadn't visited them in 3 years. He'd gotten what he needed and moved on, just like they'd moved on from me. My phone buzzed. Elena, my business partner, checking in. We'd built our biotech company from nothing, revolutionizing drug delivery systems. The patent royalties alone had made us both millionaires before we turned 35. Not that my parents knew. They'd never asked about my work, dismissing it as too complicated the few times I'd tried to explain. Over the next week, word spread through the family grapevine. My phone exploded with calls and texts from relatives I hadn't heard from in years. "Aunt Linda, how could you do this to your parents?" "Uncle Ray, family doesn't treat family this way." "Cousin Beth, they made one mistake 20 years ago. Let it go." But the most interesting call came from Marcus himself. "Sophia," his voice was exactly as I remembered, smooth, confident, entitled. "We need to talk about this situation with your parents." "My parents? Interesting. They were our aunt and uncle when you needed money. That was different. I was. Family. So was I. Look, what do you want? I'll pay you back the original amount. I don't want your money, Marcus. I want you to understand something. They chose you over me. Fine. But choices have consequences. They chose not to pay taxes for 5 years, betting I'd never find out, never have the means to do anything about it. They bet wrong. So this is revenge? No. This is business. They have an asset worth $450,000 with $50,000 in tax debt. I bought the debt and the house. Simple mathematics. The kind I learned while you were in your paid-for medical school. Where are they supposed to go? Maybe they can move in with you? You have that big house. Family helps family, after all. The silence stretched so long I thought he'd hung up. Finally, I can't. My wife, the kids, it wouldn't work. Then maybe they should have saved for retirement instead of assuming the house would be enough. Maybe they should have paid their taxes instead of taking cruises. Maybe they should have thought about their future the way I had to think about mine at 18. The 30 days passed in a blur of increasingly desperate attempts to change my mind. They tried everything. Guilt, photos of me as a baby in that house. Anger, threatening to contest the sale, their lawyer laughed them out of his office. Bargaining, offering to pay rent below market rate, of course. Depression, mom's tears at family gatherings. Acceptance, just kidding, they never got there. On day 29, I found them still in the house, surrounded by boxes they hadn't packed. They'd been certain I'd cave. The movers come tomorrow, I informed them. If you're not packed, they'll pack for you. The storage unit is paid for 1 month. 1 month. Dad's anger had faded to something worse, defeat. What happens after that? That's up to you. Marcus offered to let you stay with him, right? My mother's bitter laugh told me everything. He won't even return our calls now. Funny how that works. Almost like when you prioritize one child over another, you might end up with neither. We did what we thought was right, she said quietly. Marcus had such potential. And I didn't? She looked at me then, really looked at me, maybe for the first time in 20 years. Saw the tailored suit, the confident posture, the success she'd never bothered to notice. We didn't know you'd become this. No, you didn't care to find out. You decided at 18 what I was worth, less than Marcus. And you've treated me that way ever since. The next morning, the movers arrived. I supervised from my car, watching 20 years of resentment get loaded into a truck. My childhood home, the repository of so many memories, good ones before that day, bitter ones after. My parents stood on the lawn looking lost. At the last minute, my mother approached my car. The house, she started. What will you do with it? I'm converting it into transitional housing for young adults aging out of foster care. Kids who have no family support, no college funds, no safety net. The Sophia Reeves Foundation will give them what I had to find myself, a chance. Her face crumpled. Named after yourself? Named after the 18-year-old girl who needed help and got none. Someone should remember her. We're your parents, Dad said, joining her. Doesn't that mean anything? It meant everything. That's why it hurt so much when you proved it meant nothing to you. I started the car. Your stuff is in Unit 48 at Secure Store on Maple. 1 month paid. After that, I shrugged. Where are we supposed to go? Mom's voice was small, scared. I handed them a folder through the window. There's a list of senior housing options that accept Social Security as payment. Some are actually nice. You'll figure it out. I paused, then added, You're smart. The echo of their words from 20 years ago hung between us. Sophia, please. Family helps family, I said, putting the car in drive. Maybe start with the family you chose. Ask Marcus. After all, his success is thanks to your sacrifice. Mine is in spite of it. I drove away, watching in the rearview mirror as they stood on the lawn of the house that was no longer theirs. The house where they'd changed my life with their choice. The house where I'd just returned the favor. That evening, I met with the contractor who'd be converting the house. We walked through rooms full of ghosts, planning futures for kids who needed what I'd never gotten. Someone to believe their potential was worth investing in. 6 units? He confirmed, reviewing the plans. With the shared common areas? 6 kids who won't have to sleep in their cars between jobs. 6 kids who won't have to choose between textbooks and food. I touched the wall where my height marks still climbed up the doorframe, stopping at 18. 6 kids who'll know someone believes they're worth it. My phone buzzed. Marcus again. This time I answered. They're at my house, he said without preamble. My wife is furious. This is your fault. No, Marcus. This is your opportunity. Family helps family, remember? They helped you. Now it's your turn. I can't take care of them. I have my own life, my practice, my problems. Yes. The kind of problems that come from accepting help without considering the cost to others. Welcome to consequences. You're bitter. You're doing this out of spite. I'm practical. I'm doing this because it makes good business sense. The house was undervalued due to tax issues. The neighborhood is gentrifying. The renovation will qualify for federal grants. In 5 years, the foundation will be self-sustaining and helping dozens of kids annually. While our parents are homeless. While your parents face the same uncertainty they gave me. Except they're facing it with Social Security, Medicare, and 40 years of work history. I faced it with nothing but determination. He hung up. I wasn't surprised when, 3 days later, my parents were back in senior housing. Marcus's help had lasted exactly 72 hours, about 71 hours longer than I'd expected. 6 months later, the Sophia Reeves house opened. 6 young adults moved in, all aged out of foster care or estranged from families who'd failed them. They paid minimal rent, had access to tutoring, career counseling, and something more valuable, stability while they built their futures. My parents didn't attend the opening, but they sent a card. We're sorry. We see now what we took from you. We hope someday you can forgive us. I kept the card in my desk drawer, under the photo of 18-year-old me standing at a bus stop with a suitcase and a shattered dream. That girl couldn't have imagined this moment, owning the house that had rejected her, transforming it into hope for others. The doorbell rang. Sarah, one of our first residents, needed help with her engineering homework. I sat with her at the kitchen table, the same table where my parents had told me my education didn't matter as much as Marcus's. This is hard, she said, frustrated with the calculus problem. Yes, I agreed, guiding her through it. But you're smart. You'll figure it out. And unlike when those words were said to me, as a dismissal, an abandonment, I meant them as a promise. Because family helps family, even when that family is one you build yourself from the ashes of the one that failed you. Especially then,